Boom, what is good? What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferris Milano, and welcome to another edition of LGR Reviews. This episode, we got the series finale of We Own the City. And guess what? We own this series, we own this review, we own everything. And today, we got a full house for a season finale of epic proportions. But I'm not alone, I'm never alone. I got the crew with me. I got my main man, Caleb. Caleb, how are you, my man?
Good, man. I'm excited to do this last episode, man.
Hey, man, it's great seeing you chipper after last night. We were partying. Uh, my main man Jose. How are you doing, Jose?
I'm great. Hey, look, they had the gun trace task force. We have the series review task force here. How
Dang
about
right.
that? Yes.
Dang right.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The SFTF.
There you go.
Remember that.
That's right.
And then, speaking of a member of the SFTF, we got the main man. We got Young Wolf himself. We got DeShawn. How are you, my man?
What's good, bro? I'm chilling. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Then we got Old Wolf himself. Hendo, how are you, my man?
I'm well, thank you. Glad to
All
be
right,
here.
guys. All right, guys. Let's get right into it, man. It was a series finale. Let's go around the horn and say just episode. We're gonna do episode thoughts overall. Then we're gonna break it down piece by piece. Let's start with you, Caleb. Your overall thoughts on the episode.
I thought it was really good. I thought it ended up, surprising on some parts that I didn't expect. But overall, I thought it was really, really good. And I thought it wrapped up the series pretty well. I liked how it unfolded. Like I said, beginning didn't know really anything about this. I like knowing how everything ended up. And then some parts were like, didn't really expect that. So yeah, overall it was really, really good.
Jose.
Yeah, they wrapped it up perfectly. I think. Well, not perfect. Nothing's perfect. There's a couple of things that I took issue with. The main thing was Sean Suter, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll get into that, I'm sure, later on. But all in all, excellent. I thought it was excellent performance. John Berthal, he nailed it, and just Wayne Jenkins' whole attitude, and I've heard interviews with Wayne Jenkins, and that's just pretty much how he is. Even after he pled guilty, he's just like, yeah, I didn't actually do it, but you pled guilty, and you're serving 25 years, like you did it, you know. Just the way they open up the show with that, and just the disbelief by the agents that are interviewing him, just like this guy, he's delusional. Like they're like everybody rolled on you, and you're just like, no, you didn't do anything. Okay, all right. But
They're all lying.
They're
all lying.
Yeah, but the way they wrapped everything up, perfect, or near perfect, I would say. I loved it.
DeShawn.
I really liked how they wrapped everything. It didn't leave me with any questions, which was big for me. Like, you don't want a show to finish, especially when they say it's the series finale, and then you still got unanswered questions. So they pretty much, closed the chapter on everyone's story. Kind of gave the disclaimer about what happened to him, so that was pretty dope. And again, just you can't say enough about the performances of not only John Bernthal but like all these actors, this entire ensemble. So props to all of them.
Hendo.
I love the episode. Yeah, I think they wrapped it up just right, except for a couple of loose ends, like Jose said. It's certain things that we have questions about that we'll get into later. But I just love how the whole series just encompassed the corruption inside the police force and the politicians, how they kind of go hand in hand, and what this city is all about.
All right, man. Thank you, Hendo. Thank you, guys. All right, so now my thoughts, man. I love this, man. I love the series, man. See, here's the thing, man. The reason I watched the show is that I think, like most of us here, we're Wire fans, except Caleb. He's never seen it.
It's my
I know.
first season.
Well, finish it. Let's finish it, man.
We'll see.
Bro,
God damn
enjoy it at your own pace. Don't let Ferris bully you.
Yeah, really.
No, I will. I will bully you. Okay.
We know.
It's like Young Justice, Caleb. I've never steered you wrong. You see?
I was watching that before you said anything. What are you talking about?
I don't accept that answer. It doesn't fit my narrative. So no, but like Cece, dude, they were like David Simon, Baltimore cop show. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. No. Then I find out there's a book about it. I'm gonna buy the book. Actually, I'm gonna buy the book. By the way, Justin Fenton, I think, has another cameo, or either his name or him. I don't know
Yeah, he's
who.
in there.
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah.
I love the show, man. I love the show. And here's the thing, man. I knew nothing about this thing. You know, man, I ain't from Baltimore. I don't know any of these people. And then talking to y'all saying, yo, John Bernthal, that homie from Dundalk, straight up. And I was like, I don't know who that is, but I agree.
You know, I learned
You know what
about
I mean?
Bertha. He's born in D.C. and raised in Maryland. He's raised in Montgomery County,
Yeah, he
so
was.
he wasn't that
Yeah.
far away from it. You know.
Yeah, which kind of him and Josh Charles are,
Yeah.
are natives. And then there's a bunch of other wire
Adlers. Well,
Uh-huh.
Adlers, he's from DC, and so is what is his name? Seth Hurwitz,
Mm.
the one who got caught with the drugs, who the bail bondsman.
Oh, the bail bondsman. Oh,
Yeah,
that guy.
he's from DC, and he actually got arrested.
Oh, there.
For real?
Yeah, he owned a club, and he went to get a massage, and he told the young lady, if you want a little bigger tip, go a little bit higher. So they got
Oh,
him for
God, no.
soliciting a prostitute, but he was a millionaire like early on in his life.
Dang.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Montgomery
So,
County.
a lot of your dudes need to just get the massage and get out. You know what I mean? That's what they should do. Just get the goddamn massage and leave. All right, Sean Watson, piece of shit. Yeah. No, but here's the thing. I love the show, right? And here's the thing about that dude, man. You know what? My biggest, we're gonna talk about favorite things a little later on. My favorite thing is like how like these guys are just like wearing Ravens memorabilia throughout the entire show.
I hate that all the assholes are wearing Ravens shirts every
Yeah.
time they're doing asshole stuff.
It's like
bro,
they're like
we're on
all the white
Oilers.
dudes. So dude, straight up like the guy, the bail bondsman just is wearing a Ray Lewis jersey. He's just like,
Yep.
I'm wearing. I was like,
It is a Raven. It's Ravens Town.
That's how it is.
Yeah, man, it's
really
like it's crazy. But now let's break it down though, Jose. You brought up the interview at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
When they were talking to him and like how he's delusional, and he's like basically like, they're all lying. I ain't done shit. They're liars. All of them. All 10 of them are lying. Yeah, all 10 of them are lying. Exactly. Like I didn't do nothing. And then he starts and then he specifies a certain event. He says, I didn't plant those drugs in the Umar Burley case. That wasn't me. He denied everything like categorically, like I didn't do anything. But then he specified on that case. He brought up that case personally. I didn't do that. He could have said, I didn't beat up that guy at Belvedere Towers. I didn't steal the money from the little person's stripper. He didn't specify any of that stuff. But he specified the Umar Burley stuff. This is the thing that they kind of left open-ended because I don't think in real life they ever explained it. But
Yeah.
like,
I have a little detail on
All right,
that.
hit me,
And I heard it because I listened to a podcast. Umar Burley. So that case, I think they mixed that one up with another one. Like they kind of combined those two incidents together because in the Umar Burley one, if I'm correct, that's the gentleman that they just straight up robbed him, right? And they didn't report it. Like and Umar Burley, they interviewed him at the time, and he said like he didn't even know who robbed him. Like he just know he was being chased. It was at nighttime. They crashed his car, and he got knocked out. And when he woke up, his money was just gone. And he had a broken jaw. His jaw was wired shut for a couple months. Lost his job. I think he's about to get evicted. All that stuff, and he found out that police were involved, but he didn't know who it was. So he had to start canvassing the area, going door to door, asking people, "Did you see anything? Did you see what happened?" And I'm cutting out here. And that's how he kind of started putting things together that way. But yeah, I mean, none of these people ever got their money back. But in that case, particular, I don't think his was the one he got drugs planted on. I could be wrong, but that name sounded familiar. That sounded like the person that actually just got robbed. But there was another case like that where they just planted drugs. I mean, there's a lot of cases where they planted drugs. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I actually didn't know that. I'll say thank you. Well, now let's go around the horn. Like, what did y'all think about? Like, what were your theories, thoughts on like why he specified that case in the show? Let's go to you, Hendo.
So when he first brought it out, and they kept saying it, I was just like, why do they keep going back to this case? Why would he specify this one case? But then thinking about it, I think it has to do with his ego and his conscience, and with everybody calling him a dirty cop and saying he's this and that because somebody died in that instance. He didn't want that on his conscience. He didn't want that man's death to be unjustified and it be invalid traffic stop. So he was justifying that killing by saying, "Oh yeah, I thought he had drugs, but it wasn't me who planted it." So that's the reason that I came up with.
What was that, DeShawn?
Yeah, similar to what Hendo said, I really think it was something in his subconscious, really, that was saying, "Look, I know I did everything else," and I think that's kind of why he the guilty plea, even though he came back and categorically denies everything. But it's like in his heart of hearts, he knows he did everything except that. And I think also, and maybe this is a little bit of a reach, but he also was aware of all the other cops that they had, there, like Ram and Gondo and all these other dudes. But I'm pretty sure he didn't see Sean Suter in the mix, and he was that's probably just his way of saying, "Oh, y'all forgot one," or something like that. Or maybe it was the writer's way of tying those stories in together, because sometimes they'll do that for you know plot purposes too. So it could be a number of things, but I do think in his heart of hearts, like Hendo said, he knows he didn't do that one, so he wanted to like let it be known, like at the end of the day, I might have done a lot of stuff, but that's not one of them.
Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, he could not have done that one, but he wasn't physically the person that put the drugs, even though he didn't know about it. That's why he knew he planted the drugs, so he's still involved in it. So it didn't matter if he didn't do it. He still knew about it. He knew that John Suter planned the drugs. So I don't like. It didn't really make sense whether he knew about it or not. Saying that he knew about it, well, you're still involved. That means you still knew that he planned the drugs. So that was just weird to me. That he pointed out that specific case. And he's done so many other bad things.
But that was because somebody died. So
yeah,
I think that's the only difference.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of other people died in a certain.
Well, but these were innocent people.
Got hurt.
These were innocent people, not drug dealers. Yeah. So I think that, and it was actually an older couple. So I think that weighed heavy on them.
Yeah, just because they're like an innocent old couple really kind of screwed him up with. Jose.
No, so I pulled up the story. Actually, he was the one that they planted drugs on, him and his friend, and he got an $8 million settlement. What's interesting, I figured they leave this out. He actually went back to prison after he received a settlement for attempted murder. Yeah.
See, people are multi-layered.
But he served some time. So they're saying he served a few years in prison for that case. And
have a nice day, Jose. Thank you very much for coming. Well, let's when he gets back, we'll talk about it more with him. But now I just want to. We'll finish that. I just want to move on to I want to like this little scene where he's like they're chasing someone and he throws the gun away, and like the guy's like, "Hey man, can I call somebody to tell him I'm in jail? Tell him I'm in jail." And he's like, "All right, fine, I got you, man. I'll let you call somebody." He's like being a very nice cop, and you're like, okay, all right, I don't know why he's doing this. And the guy says, "Yo, man, cops planted a gun on me. Yo, man." And he's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? And then like that weird juxtaposition, Hendo and guys, and that like he doesn't think he's a bad cop. He's like, "I'm a good cop. I am a clean cop. I do nothing wrong." And then him getting visibly and viscerally upset that a Baltimore resident accused him of planning something, making him a dirty cop. That's fascinating to me. Like that's some like psychological, like either he's lying to himself or he really believes this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's beyond me. Like, let's go to you, Caleb. Like when you were watching that scene, like this man was like, he was like, "How dare you accuse me of planting a gun? Like, how dare you?" Even though he's done it before in the episode where the guy's car flipped over and he had like a broken arm. Like, what were you thinking, Caleb?
Well, this was during the time he was already being investigated. He already knew he was being investigated and all his crew. I think that's what made him, turn to that attitude. And he was tired of getting tired of having people talk behind his back, telling him he's a dirty cop, or telling him to his face that he was a dirty cop. And that's why he kind of had this reaction like, nah, I do things by the book. And, I'm not a dirty cop. He wanted to prove that he wasn't a dirty cop because he just was, tired of all these people saying he was, even though he was. So that's like it's a weird thing about him that he doesn't want to be portrayed as that when he is that. Like, I don't know how you do these things and not think you're a dirty cop. It's like, that's crazy to me.
DeShawn.
Um, yeah, that was real interesting to me because, and I know this show kind of flips between time periods a lot, so I'm curious to go back and see like what time place that what time that took place in because it seemed like it was good, bro. uh, it seemed like it was during the time, like Caleb said, when he was being investigated, like it was post Freddie Gray, I'm pretty sure, and it was like tensions was high. Police was feeling like they really couldn't do their job without people recording them and accusing them of brutality. And then I think all that stuff was kind of accumulating, and then along with him always being called down to the courtrooms and the district attorneys or attorneys for the defense attorney, excuse me, saying he's a dirty cop and stuff like that. I think all that stuff kind of just accumulated over time, and you know what I'm saying. In his mind, he thinks he's doing like the best he can because he thinks he's doing his job. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think he self brainwashed himself. Like after a long enough time of just always doing stuff and getting away with it, you believe that you're untouchable and that you're in the right in what you're doing, even though it's wrong.
Hendo.
Yeah, it's called compartmentalization. He kind of breaks things down to himself, and even through his conversations that he's had, he's like, yeah, they say I'm a dirty cop, but I'm not that dirty cop. Like there's supposed to be certain levels to the criminality of what he's doing. After being told by certain entities, judges, politicians, co-workers, superiors, that we know that you're stealing, we know that you're dealing drugs, it kind of gets to him that his facade of being this super cop is being unveiled. And I don't think that he can handle all the pressure of not being that man.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, you want to know what it reminds me of?
Sure.
That show The Boys on Amazon in a similar way, where like Homelander is this big bravado and he's like the symbol of hope and peace, and then in reality he's an asshole. Exactly, behind closed doors he's an asshole. He's a killer, and then when that stuff gets exposed, I'm not going to spoil the show, but like you see how hard it is for them to handle like that exposure to who they really are.
Yeah, because they've been lying to themselves for years, and they had a way of life. Now that the reality comes through, they don't know how to handle reality because they lived in a fantasy world where everybody loved them and they were the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? And then when they find out that the cream is spoiled, no one wants it. They throw it away. Jose, what about you, my man? Can't hear you, Jose.
Now you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Homelander is a psychopath, right?
Yeah.
Wayne Jenkins is a psychopath or a sociopath, one of those two. He does these things without any regard for human emotion or feelings or how it affects their lives, because he's always going to put himself first. And like I said, I've listened to interviews of him in prison, and in his mind he thinks he still thinks he was a good cop and he was doing the right thing and he was putting away bad guys, because that's another thing that we talked about, how Black people are viewed in these areas. They're viewed as all bad, right? They're all doing drugs, they're all involved in crime, and it's our job. Like we have to do it this way to keep the city safe. And that's one of the points that they kind of hinted at on the show that I didn't appreciate, is that this kind of hurt the department's ability to police, and crime went up after there's been like a little bit of stoppage in police activity, right? When they kind of slowed down hiring and them just putting people on the streets to make it seem like when there's not cops on the streets, there's no crime, but that's just not true. When there's more cops on the streets, they put more people away. They fudge the numbers, but they're not stopping anything. They're not preventing anything. They just you know, they make more arrests. They might quiet the streets for a little bit just for appearance's sake, but they're not actually doing anything. That's the problem. So
yeah, because here's the thing about this, bro. Crime is gonna happen. You know what I mean, it's going to happen. Robbery, murder, whatever, name it, it's gonna happen. The thing is, cops. Like, here's the thing: cops don't understand. Like, they want good numbers, right? And if they don't, but the problem is they don't want honest numbers. They just want numbers. You know what I mean? Honest numbers where, like, you actually get the right person. People actually help you get the right person. You have a connection to the community that you can go to someone in the community and be like, hey man, where were you on blah blah blah? Oh, you okay? Hey man, you saw it? What happened? Okay. Hey man, all right. Give me like, now it's like, yo, don't talk to me, dog. Don't even talk to me. Don't get away from me. Like the old dude who like yelled at Sean Suter for being a cop. It's like, hey man, I know you a jump out boy.
Yeah,
I know who you are. Like he's so angry at the officers. He didn't even want to talk to them. He was like, you know what? I'll talk to you, but I will just yell at you and say you're a piece of shit. That's how much I hate you people. You know what I mean? That's how much they don't like. That's how much the people in that neighborhood don't like cops. They don't even want to talk to them. Like, sometimes people, they just don't want to talk to cops. Like, yo, just don't talk to me, bro. You know what I mean? But these people are like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to you, but I'm gonna tell you what you don't want to hear. You're a piece of shit. That's what you are. You're a horrible person. And speaking of horrible people, the craziness of Wayne Jenkins. Let me tell you what. When his lawyer's in the room telling him, Jenkins like, yo, everybody gonna stay quiet. We good. Everybody gonna stay quiet. No one's talking. And his lawyer's like, everyone's talking. And Wayne is like this. He's like, what you trying to say? Everyone's writing you out. He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean everyone's talking? This man doesn't know how federal prosecutions work. The way federal prosecutions always work is that someone always snitched on somebody because for a better deal. Yeah,
the best.
Exactly. And this man was like, nah, man, ain't no one talking. And then I love how they're like, he's like, I'll go on the stand. I'll tell my story. My story will hold, which is foreboding for the following scene in the courthouse that we're going to talk about, which I find extremely fascinating. And then they generally cut to all his cops, all of them, Hendricks, Gondo, Rayam, Maurice, where they're all saying, yo, he keeps telling us to stay quiet, stay calm. I ain't listening to that mother, love him and forget him. And I think Hendricks is like, hey man, I've been trying to get away from Wayne Jenkins for a while now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, this dude is like been like, yo, screw this. Because Hendricks said first it was about the money. We just get money. That's it. Like everybody took money.
You're in an entire task force with cops that were dirty in other units that got transferred out for doing jacked up stuff in other divisions. You're basically in a room filled with corrupt and dirty criminals, and you think you can trust them?
Yeah.
With your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no honor among thieves. He thought there was honor. No, you're all thieves. You're all dirty cops.
What episode was it? Was it the second episode when Wayne Jenkins was passing the other cop in the when he's going to interview the people and Wayne Jenkins telling them, "Hey, don't say anything to him. Don't say anything." He's like,
right.
"Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
And as soon as he got in there, he's like, "All right, let's get this started." It's like, hey, by the way,
Hey, yo, man,
he's like,
hey,
I just passed Wayne Jenkins in the hall. He's telling me not to say anything. You might want to keep him away from the other cops. Like they were giving everything up.
But the crazy part was when they were in the bar and Ram was like, cops are a bunch of snitches. They tell everything. Like he told Jenkins, we tell everything.
When we get caught, we're gonna snitch. When we get caught, we're gonna snitch. Like that's how certain cops get away with some of the stuff that they've done. They've snitched on other cops, and then they stop being cops and they become like private investigators or security men.
No. They stop being cops in that town.
Yes, in that town.
You can move jurisdictions and still be a cop. Like you can kill somebody, get fired in Oklahoma, but you go to Texas and they'll hire you. Like that's the crazy part about policing.
So like the bad cops in LA, they get transferred to Fresno.
Like You just
Yeah.
go a couple towns over. Like that's crazy.
So well, yeah, no, because I want your thoughts on okay, so like when they cut to like all his part like his crewmates basically ratting him out, and they were specified on one thing. They're like, we took money all the time. Money was money. It's cool. We that's what we did. But the drugs was different. We couldn't handle the drugs. That's where they drew the line. These criminals drew the line at drugs, guys. They're like, we can't do the drugs. The money.
Well, because
What
they
Hendo,
know it. They see what it does to people every time,
yeah,
all the time. It's like they
Hendo,
see it firsthand.
yeah, exactly. So Hendo, you had a visceral reaction on me saying that. Why?
Only because of Gondo. Like his homeboy was a drug dealer. Like Shropshire, he was a drug dealer, and that was your man. You would tip him off. Y'all hung out, y'all did things together. Now, Gondo was one of the only ones possibly that I think may have been into drugs as well, because you can't be that tight with old boy spending all this money being flashy like drug dealers and not be doing the same thing.
And I think part of that was they was all like in the mindset, I don't do none of those drugs and stuff. Whereas though the guy that you saw, Wayne Jenkins, selling the drugs or giving the drugs to the strip club owner, you see he sniffed that stuff all the time. So it's like I think that was part of why they was, drawing that line there, is because that's some shit they just flat out didn't do.
Caleb, your thoughts on that, bro? Oh, my bad, John. Caleb, your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, that was crazy because even one of the guys even said like, yeah, I can't do it because like he even started asking my family members, sold drugs. He was like, hell no, man, that's my family. What you doing? What you thinking?
That's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, it's like
Hendrix.
Hendrix, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. You just don't even care. Like you just try to get more money. Like I mean, he's not even satisfied with just stealing their money. He has to sell drugs so then you make even more money. So like shit. Like when the hell are you satisfied?
But think about who he's asking. He ain't asked Herschel if he had any family members that saw, right? Like that's how they think about you, right? And even for Gondo, when like to Hendo's point, like yeah, your friend is a major drug dealer, but even for Gondo, I can see how it'd be a little jarring for him. Like, well, okay, yes, that's what my friend does, but we're cops. Okay, we're taking money, whatever. But now, like, we're taking the drugs, and we used to just dump it over on the side, but now you're keeping it, and now you're pushing it, and not just pushing it, like a lot of it, because his friend that he was giving it to has so much of it he couldn't even move it. And I've heard an interview with him of the real guy too, and he said it. He's just like he stole so much and brought so much stuff to me, like stuff that I didn't even know how to sell. I'm just like, well, what do you want me to do with this? And he's like, just sell it, right? Like
I don't even know what the asking price for this is.
Exactly.
And that guy dealt with other cartels. He's just like, how am I going to explain to them, actually, I can't sell your stuff because I'm stealing it from these other raids. You know what I'm saying? Like he was walking a thin line. He just like, you're giving me too much. It was only supposed to be a little, but you're giving me too much. Think about that. This guy's used to moving keys and stuff, right? And he's saying you're giving me too much. I cannot move it. That's insane.
He should have invested in the storage unit.
It's like I got millions in the floor.
Yeah.
That was the crazy part. Like, oh, you missed the spot. Like
that. All these people just giving up everything. Like it's just, I'm just telling you. I'm telling you everything. Like it's nothing.
But he was happy go lucky. He was just like, yeah, hey guys, hey, we're not gonna talk about that. Let's talk about the real stuff. Let's talk about why you're really here. You don't want to know why we're friends and how long.
And that's the thing, Jose, you brought it up. He's working with the cartel. I didn't even think about that. So you're stealing the cartel's drugs, and now I'm working with the cops to sell your stuff back after they didn't stole it from you. Like, he probably felt safer in jail. That's probably why he
looked so happy.
Yeah. Like, get me inside these 4 concrete walls with some protection.
Yeah, put me at like a level 3 prison where I can go outside, feel the sun on my face and play some computer games. Don't put me in the pen, because if you put me in the pen, I ain't surviving. So I'm gonna tell you everything. That's how it was. He was like, I gotta give me a good deal here. So guys, I just find it like, he was like, oh, y'all missed the 4 packs of heroin behind the water heater. I'm like, what the hell? He's like, he just says it. I'm like, yo, these people are like, yeah, I'm ratting you out. I don't care.
And they were like, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like literally, man. Like when you watch
Probably
these,
the
like
easiest day of work they ever had.
literally, bro, dude. Like, no offense, bro. These federal prosecutors had probably the easiest job in federal prosecutor history.
It was like
They
Christmas
just,
for them.
it was, oh my, it was, bro, it was Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Eid, 4th of July, all wrapped
Everything.
into. It was. Like literally, dude. Where I'm like listening to like she's listening to Gondo talk to Brill, and they're talking about drugs on the phone, and then he finally switches to like, nah, hey man, switch it to FaceTime, bro, FaceTime. And then I'm like, dude, they already got you.
Yeah.
They already. What are you talking about?
First of all, this case was so easy that lady was playing a flute at work.
That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Like, that's how easy this case was. I'm like, damn, really?
Dude, oh like I could be a federal prosecutor if this is how easy this goddamn job is. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god, bro, they gave him everything. Dude, like, bro, they subpoenaed. Dude, here's the thing, like, they're public records, and they lied on public records. Like cop reports are public records, and they out here lying on public records. Body cam is public record. Homie beat a man and interrogated a man for 45 minutes, and then after the camera shut off, I mean, like, dude, that's shady. Like, bro, like these,
Right.
like.
You know
Here's
what's
the thing,
crazy?
bro. It's what is crazy? Crazier than that?
Crazy,
what we just saw.
crazier. Think about it, right? Because they are a gang, right?
Yes.
They are a gang. They, they don't want to see themselves that way, but they are a very sophisticated, organized
Biggest
crime.
and most well-organized crime.
Right. Usually the guy at the top is the one that makes the plea deals and rats out other people, right? People at the bottom. Every person under Wayne Jenkins, because he is the head of this, right? Every person under Wayne Jenkins got less time by ratting him out. They put it all on him. He got the longest sentence. He got 25 years. I mean, part of it is because he didn't take any plea deal. He thought somebody would protect me, but every last person dimed him out, right?
Except Allers.
Yeah, Allers.
But they were two separate. But they were two separate because Allers started. He started the division.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's my listen. Allers. He said, I'm accepting everything that you give me. I'm not snitching. I'm not telling y'all nothing. Just bring it.
That's real.
Yeah.
And everyone else
They definitely brought it though.
I don't think Herschel said anything either. He thought he was going to get off on some technicality. He got 18 years.
18.
Yeah,
I wanted Herschel to get more time too.
Him and that guy, the guy with Herschel, they didn't talk. Like, they didn't talk. The people who talked were Hendricks, Gondo, Rayam, and Maurice. Them four.
Yeah.
Them four. They ratted them out. But now let's transition. That scene in the courthouse with that defense attorney, that was really fascinating because, they talk about how and then he kind of put the nail on his coffin when he said we surrounded the car, and then the defense was like, got you, boom, here it is, and then he gets the guy off. But then they have this conversation in the hallway where he's like, yo, Jenkins, you know why this this damn case didn't go federal? This man had 8 kilos of cocaine with him. Why didn't it go federal? You know why? Because they don't want to touch your ass. Because they know you dirty. Like, they ain't stupid. Why do you think I beat you always in court? You think it's hard to beat y'all in court? No, I just gotta wait for y'all to say something stupid, like surrounding the cop car, which is what did he call it? What did he call it? Illegal? What did he call it?
Detainment.
Entrapment. Detainment.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, bro, like you're easy money, bro. You're easy money. Like, beating you in court is easy stats for me, and I get to charge more because I always beat you because you are horrible at your job. They're not good cops, guys. I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. This defense attorney is basically telling him the truth. Like, this is why I beat you all the time. This is why your cases always stay in the county or the city or the state, the house office. Because Stevens, the guy he arrested, had 8 kilos. That's federal. That's federal weight. And they were like, no, we don't want to touch it. Even though the federal government loves to get people on federal weight, and they love to put the drugs on the table. That's their motto. Drugs on the table. I want drugs on the table. I want guns on the table. We want that big old, like when they arrest a cartel member, and they got like
They want
the
that
5
media.
kids.
They want that media.
Yeah,
mode.
they want that, but they were like,
But
we
even
don't
more
want
than
this.
that, they love looking good, and you can't look
Exactly.
good if you got a dirty cop, making
Exactly.
the arrest.
Now, DeShawn, thank you for saying that. Give me your thoughts on that scene where the defense attorney is basically like laying into him, like, dude, you're an idiot. What were
Yeah,
your thoughts on that?
because this whole mindset Wayne Jenkins had was once again like Homelander. I'm the shit. I'm the very best of the best. Everybody loves me, and now when you get this attorney who pulls you to the side and basically bursts your bubble and saying, "Fam, nobody likes you. Everybody knows that you suck at your job and that you're a dirty cop." And this whole time, he thought everyone loved him because he was putting up numbers, and basically thinking about it from an analytics point of view. But in reality, everybody thinks he sucks at his job, and this attorney basically pulled him back into reality and told him the hard truth, and he couldn't accept it. And I think that's what sort of spiraled him into present day Wayne Jenkins, or not present day, but during the story, present day Wayne Jenkins.
Jose, your thoughts?
That part where he's recounting the story when he pulled somebody over, or not, or they chase down somebody and the guy threw away the gun, and he's giving him the phone to make a phone call, and the guy's like, "Oh, they planted the gun on me," and he's giving his speech about, "We don't do that. We police straight up and everything," and they just look at him like, "Are you serious?"
You know what's kind of funny? The last dude that says we don't do that, we police straight up, you got him transferred.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, I think he kind of he did such a good job of telling this lie that he ended up lying to himself somewhat, and some of this BS that he believed himself. But more so, I think he just believed those guys had his back, because the for sure he would tell you without it, him lying. He felt like he had everybody's back. Every cop there, he felt like he had their back. He protected them. He looked out for them. And look, he's putting money in their pockets. He's giving them all kinds of overtime, all this stuff. He took care of them. I feel like he felt like they're not going to roll over on me. Not that easily anyway.
Hendo, your thoughts, my man?
Yeah, I thought that was a very powerful scene for the simple fact that it's the start of what destroyed his ego. You have this man that you're constantly losing to telling you, look, you're so bad at what you do. I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to tell you why you keep losing. And it hurt his feelings. And also, it also goes back to when I said before, police don't know the law. And he's in court just telling on himself. And that's why cases get thrown out, because the cops don't know the law. They don't know procedures. And the cases just get thrown out because of that reason.
It's because they go in with the mindset of fuck everything they learn in the academy.
Yep.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Well, I feel like he's losing. Yeah, he's losing all these cases, and that's the big thing, is to put up numbers. And if all his cases we lose, he's not that guy no more. He's not putting up numbers because everybody thinks he's dirty. All the lawyers know he's dirty. Because all their clients know he's dirty. Because all the lawyers' clients have dealt with this dude and know what he's doing. So he can't win no more. So he's not Wayne Jenkins no more if he's losing. So that's why he had such a reaction later on, where he's saying, I gotta do everything by the book. No, I can't. I'm trying to be a good cop. So I can, get, start win some cases, but it's too late now. You already got your reputation.
But what the problem is there, Caleb, and this is why we keep having this issue in cities like this, is that cops make the arrest, they get to close their case, and their numbers are up. Mm-hmm. Prosecutors, that's a separate issue that doesn't affect police.
It's two
budget.
stats in one. It's two
right.
stats in one.
So prosecutors can say, you're giving me BS here, right? You gotta work with us, but they don't have to. They get their numbers, they get their arrest, they get their bus, they put drugs and money on the table, they get their PR moment, and the police gets a bigger budget, right? The prosecutors are the ones that are stuck with these cases that they had to drop a lot of times, or go back and drop cases, and they have a headache with it. But that's not somebody like Wayne Jenkins. Like his superiors aren't going to bat an eye at that because it doesn't concern them. You know,
Like he does talk about when he's talking to his other clubs. He does talk about we put away this many cases. So I just brought that back.
But cases like on their end, right? So
that made it to court.
Yes,
yeah.
That's what case is. Yeah. So like when Sean Suiter, like he makes an arrest, you know, he closes that case, right? But when it gets to court and nobody's going to they can't get jurors, right? That doesn't affect his case. The case is not reopened. His case is closed. They found their suspect that they believe did it. They made their arrest. Case closed on their end.
Another problem is a lot of the times the cops don't show up. And that's how these prosecutors lose their case, because cops just don't show up. But I think for Jenkins, I think for him, he's like, you know what? It really doesn't matter, because he told the dude while he was walking out of court, I'll catch you later. So he's already stolen drugs off of him the first time. So he's like, I'll just catch you again, steal more drugs and money off of you, and keep it moving. Plus, that's another that's more overtime for him, because every time he goes to court, cops get paid court fees. So it's free overtime. So they're like, listen, I'll keep arresting the same dude over and over again. Y'all don't have to convict him.
Here's the thing. I have a question. So, like, if you arrest him on drug charges, and then, like, you arrest him again on drug charges, isn't that double jeopardy?
No, because if it's two separate instances.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You can't arrest. You can't prosecute him again for the same case. So, like, if you found him not guilty for this particular case, and then some new evidence comes out that show he might be guilty, you can't go back and prosecute him again. Yeah.
Okay. But like if a week later you find him again with 8 kilos of cocaine.
But you got to realize we already took the first 8, so this is a whole different 8. So
yeah. Well, guys, I want to transition to something. I think it's probably one of the most powerful scenes in the episode. It's with Nicole Steele talking to the police academy. Speaking of someone who knows the law, the police academy teacher who teaches the cops the law, Gabler. And he says very simple. He's reading her consent decree. He's talking like, oh, it's very immense, blah 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 blah. It's very good, cool with you. But then he says this, but you're missing something. You're missing something. And she's like befuddled, like, what are we missing? Like, what the hell you mean? What are we missing? And he's like, what do cops do? She's like, arrest everybody? No. What do they do? What is their purpose now? And he brings up the war on drugs, and he says, is the U.S. government and the cops, are they going to admit that they've lost the war? That's when real change is going to start. When they admit that they can reassess and attack. So, like, he says, are they going to admit they lost? When they admit that they lost, they can do real. So when y'all were watching that scene, guys, what were you guys' thoughts on what he was saying?
Is he freezing up on your guys' end?
Yeah, he's freezing on me too.
Okay, but I get his question though. His question is about that scene, and because that's the thing, right? The war on drugs is something that I believe the Reagan administration they coined that phrase, and I don't think there needs to be an admission that they lost the drug war. I think they need to admit that there is no war on drugs, right? There is no war. There's never been a war. We've always been in business. We've always been in the drug business, and we've always been in business with drug dealers. Whether you want to talk about cartels, you want to talk about pharmaceutical industries, like we've always been in business with it. And this is just another aspect of it. Things didn't play out the way we planned it to, not all the way, but we're making enough money to where we don't want to make any changes to it, because that's what we're talking about. These people that are in charge of the city do not want to make any changes because everybody at the top is making money off of it. They don't want to be put in the spotlight on how they're doing it. So they'll move some things around. They'll do a consent decree because at the end of the day, they don't change. What are they going to do about it? Nothing. Right. So that's just all for appearances. It doesn't mean anything, but it's still business as usual.
Straight up. And I agree wholeheartedly. Like, there was never a war on drugs. The only war you could argue there was a war on minority communities. But other than that, they was never really worried about drugs. They just wanted a reason to mass incarcerate a lot of minorities. But my whole thing is, he says they have to admit that they lost the war. You got people who won't even admit we lost the Vietnam War, even though that was pretty clear and obvious. So it's like, I think that that was a powerful scene, and that statement specifically about admitting they lost was huge, because that's not what America is. Especially this government, it's like they take pride in always quote unquote winning. That's why they tally up casualty numbers, and if they had the lower casualty rate, regardless of how the war went, you know, they're gonna assume that they won, and they're gonna claim that they won. So America's got this whole bravado and idea of being the winners all the time, and like he said, for them to admit that they lost, that'd be like giving up half of their wealth, because their pride is their everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hendo.
it's for me, it's a political ploy. There was never really a war on drugs. It all started with Nixon, and he kind of championed that phrase because he just wanted a reason to kind of arrest black people, infiltrate gay and lesbian communities, and hippies. Like that was his way of kind of breaking up that group and making sure that they didn't exist. Then Reagan came back with it. But if we also look at it, the CIA brought LSD into the United States and tried to use it as a mind control drug.
I'm
Like
writing a movie on that right now.
the government has always been on this. They're the ones who allow it because we don't have planes to bring it in. They do. They allow it in. They allow the trafficking so that they can kind of steal the money and use it for other avenues. But like he said, the war on drugs was lost before it began because it really was no war.
Yeah, the CIA's compliance with the cocaine
Man,
trafficking in the
the
80s.
Iran Contras, like
Yeah.
it's just so many
You name it.
instances in the past where the
Like,
government has been involved with some shady stuff involving drugs and
yeah,
haven't denied it.
they know it's happening. They just kind of like repurpose it into their own.
We gave somebody
Yeah.
an island. We gave somebody an island and planes to traffic their drugs from.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's I mean, but like he said, in this so-called war with the civilian population, there have been too many casualties.
Caleb.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it makes that much difference if the politicians admit that they lost or not. I mean, the drugs are still illegal, so you can still go out there and arrest people. So I don't think it really changes anything. People are still getting arrested and thrown in prison for trafficking and selling drugs. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, I think the bigger point, at least I took from what Treat Williams is trying to say, the substitute is trying to say, is that that leads to a bigger question. If we're not doing a war on drugs, then why are we criminalizing drugs, right? And that is one thing that has changed in Baltimore. They've decriminalized drugs to a certain amount, or at least marijuana, right? To a certain amount you can carry without risk of being like in prison. But yes, it leads that question, like, why are we putting people in prison and ruining their lives if we're not actually trying to stop people from using drugs, or selling drugs? That's the point that they're trying to get to, because all these things factor into crime and violence in any place. Now, it's not just Baltimore, anywhere. Right? You have these areas that are segregated, not just by race but by resources. So you got to find other means to make money. Right? Drugs are available, so you sell drugs, but drugs are also illegal, so you have that risk of incarceration. So when you get incarcerated, you're not there for your family. And what happens to your family? They grow up poor, they grow up struggling. That same system, and it's just a ongoing thing. And then because they're illegal, you have to move about in an illegal manner to sell this stuff, which brings about violence, right?
Yep.
So that all that stuff plays into it. There's all kinds of things that you can do to really clean up crime and murders in the city that don't involve police work.
New Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yes.
But listen,
Bunny Colvin.
but yeah, I mean it was a decent idea. But if The only problem that the government really has with drugs is that they can't tax it. If you're selling it illegally, they can't get their portion or their cut of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they criminalize it. But a drug dealer once told me, and I'll never forget this. He said, "Look, bro, I know you don't approve of what I'm doing, but when have you ever seen a drug dealer push drugs on a person? When have you ever seen any advertisement for drugs? Never.
Never.
People willingly come up and purchase it. If a drug dealer, if I walk down the street and say drug dealer today, and he like, yo, I got some blue tops, and I'm like, no, he like, all right, bro, have a good day. End of the transaction.
That's the end of the discussion.
But
Now it's doctors that push it on you.
Yep.
You see it right with these dispensaries and how much they tax. Whereas like 1 gram of weed will cost you $10 on the street. Now it costs you like $26.
Well,
and
hey,
the percentage
Sean,
ain't even as high.
yeah, no, exactly, Sean. So what happens in California? People are still buying the weed on the street, and California wants you to buy them in the dispensaries. So what they did was, and I think in San Francisco, they dropped the tax. They dropped it. They dropped it. They dropped the tax because they wanted because what happened was they found out some of the street weed was laced, right? And they don't
fentanyl, stuff like that. That's
exactly
used in Baltimore. As well.
Exactly.
That's spice.
So
and all that stuff.
yeah, and the spice and the synthetic marijuana that like that. Hey man, did y'all ever hear about that story about the Auburn football players that did the spice? You ever heard about that? No. So what happens? A couple of the football players did spice, which is synthetic marijuana, and they started going a little hallucination. And what they did is they tried to steal a safe out of a wall. So they tried to steal a safe out of the wall with their bare hands because they thought they were like Superman. So they're trying to rip this safe, like 3 of them trying to rip the safe out of this wall. Cops get called. Cops are coming through, and they hear the lights. And one of the Auburn players hears the lights, and he's like freaking out. He then jumps through the window, like through a window, like it's still closed. He jumps through it, he breaks it, and he lands outside of the trailer home. And he just like lays there because it was kind of a high. And he the cops arrest all 4 of them, and they find out that they're all on spice. And they're like, you're like, whoa. The Kimdichie brothers, Robert and Robert Kimdichie was suspended for a couple of games at Ole Miss for doing synthetic marijuana because he tripped out. So like that's
they say that stuff really messes your brain up.
It screws you up. It screws you up. It really.
And as much as them dispensaries be taxing, it's low key worth that extra safety knowing that you ain't gonna potentially get nothing.
Now here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing that I was having this conversation last night with one of my customers, right? And we were talking about drugs in America, and I'm like, all right, then. The weed business in the individual states that sell weed, California, Colorado, Washington, it adds a lot to their economy. Like it's a lot of money, like a lot. Like they have so much money that they can't, like they have to buy like volts to like, because it's not federal. You can't put it into a bank because it's still federally, it's illegal. It's still federally illegal. Like technically, if I had some weed on me, my city cop can't arrest me. But let's just say a federal agent's bored that day is like, I want to arrest somebody. He could arrest me still on federal drug charges. They're not going to because they're like, dude, you got a dime bag on you. I'm not trying to go to court over a dime bag. Like I'm, because they're not stupid. They're like, it's a waste of my damn time. But if they want to, they could still arrest me on federal drug charges. But it's like a $10 billion industry, and you don't want money. Make it legal. Here's the thing that it's not about the money with weed. It's about it's racial because they still believe that if white women smoke weed, they're gonna fuck the black guys and they can't fuck us. It's that simple. Because they legitimately reefer madness. Someone in Congress, a doctor in Congress said, if we legalize weed, the white women ain't gonna love you no more. They're gonna fuck the black guy. Pretty much. That's legitimately what the basis of his study was.
Well, listen, cocaine is high society.
Exactly.
Like they make you believe anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's bullshit. Like if I get caught with 5 grams of crack and someone gets caught with 5 grams of cocaine, I get a longer sentence.
10 times.
10 times. Well, he doesn't. So like bro, like don't insult my fucking intelligence. It's all racial, man. Because if it wasn't racial and it was about money, weed would be legal. Because the only color I see is green. Well, I want green.
Well, you can see it
about money.
It would have been legal.
Right. Well, you can see with the opioid addictions. Back in the day when it was us, It was get yourself
Just-
together, do
just say
better.
no.
Right.
Just say no,
Like,
Hendo.
listen,
And now
Just
we
say
need
no.
to help them.
now it's
Well-
like we need counseling.
Well,
Because it's their
even
fault.
even the labels, right? Like, you know, the crack epidemic and this is and that. Now it's a opioid crisis. Now
crisis.
it's
Right.
a crisis. You know, this is something that's just happening to these communities, and the communities need help.
Tugs and some heartstrings on the wall.
Middle-aged suburban white ladies.
Yeah, no,
Yo,
y'all
passing
just
out-
like us, right?
passing
You're
out,
just
man.
getting high.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and two, they're getting high. There's been a lot of white moms getting high in the car, passing out with their baby in the back.
Mhm.
Yep.
But no, but that lady needs help. That's a disease. That's something we need to take care of. Black mama, she criminal. Just say no. How dare you? Like,
Yeah.
like you know. Here's the thing. You know what I'm gonna say to them? You know what I'm gonna say to them? The
This is
opioid
America.
people. Hey guys, look at me. My name is Ferris McDonough. I care for you. Just say no. Just say no.
But it's so hard.
It's so hard, but just hey, Nancy Reagan, your guys' angel said, just say no.
Just say no. Yeah.
Just say no.
I had just heard a story about Nancy Reagan.
Oh, I know what story you heard. The
Well, no,
back in the Hollywood days stories.
Yeah.
Hey yo, man, Nancy Reagan. She got a little dip to it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, man. Oh,
She got a
man.
little dip to it. All right,
Down
so
there on
guys,
Baltimore
all right,
Street.
exactly. I just want to talk about, like, there's a lot of minutia that happened in this episode, but really, like, the biggest part happened at the end, and I think I want to give it enough time to talk about it because I think it's a lot of there's a lot of theories on what happened at the end. But I do want to bring up my favorite minutia part of this episode. It's not about Donald. We already talked about Donald Stapp and how he just like ratted out Wayne Jenkins. Like he's like, you missed the coke behind the floorboard, whatever. It's when the county cops arrest Brill. and he says, man, this cruddy, man. This what y'all doing, man? Hey, man, just take my shit like Gladstone and keep it moving.
Yep.
Who the hell is Gladstone? The cop that arrested me last week. And you can just see the disgust on the county cops' faces. Like, what? These people. I'm like, bro, like, you're a cop. You ain't got no right to be no moral high ground here, dog.
But
Like,
was it discussed or was it maybe I could get my wife a little something nice?
Exactly. it was one or the other, man. It was like he's thinking, like, I hate how they made the county cops like these are real good cops. Like, hey, man, these cops, they're you know,
Well, that's how it's always done with the county and the city.
As a
The
county
city's
resident,
bad,
that's
county's good.
yeah, like, and I'm like, this bullshit. Like, fuck out of here with this nonsense. Like homie, like Kilpatrick and the other dude is like, oh, they make me sick. They give us a bad name. We are officers of the law. You're a cop in Baltimore. Shut up.
Right.
Shut the hell up. Yo, man, like I don't like, yo, like, was that funny to y'all? Like, I'm sorry, man. That shit was hilarious. I'm like, bro, really? You gonna take some moral high ground right now? Really?
Pretty
Really,
much.
Kilpatrick? Come on, Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick, you look like a dirty cop. Bald headed, got bald headed, got a 5 o'clock shave. Homie is stoning some drugs. Get out of here, man.
I thought it was funny when they thought they were being they were one up in Shropshire, right? When they're like you know, oh, don't worry, we can make the call for you, like, you know, because
Yeah, it's like,
let them know we can you know let
I
them know that
know
we've been
you're-
wiretapping.
yeah,
Yeah, like,
I
you know,
know your
that-
girl's number.
That was
So-
one of those I got you moments, you know, kind of boasting
He
about
didn't
it
think
because
he didn't do what he thought he did.
right. So when he came back, just like, yo, just take it like your man did last week, and they're just like, what? You know what I'm saying? It was one of those. I know something you don't know. Well, I also know something that you don't know. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like, you know, which one is which? Like, a drug dealer isn't shocked when he gets caught, right? Like, that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You know, but you weren't expecting me to say, "Hey, one of your people was taking my stuff last week to make some money."
Yep.
You know,
The
And that's-
disgust on Kilpatrick's face is like, just.
But I thought it was funny when he was like, "Hey, y'all had me up on the wire." They was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Y'all dirty." Like,
Yeah.
we're dirty.
How was dirty? Caleb, quick thoughts on that incident, Caleb.
No, that was funny because he already knew what they do, and he just thought, hey, why'd you let me get away with it? Just take my
Yeah,
shit,
man.
let me go.
Yeah, just rob me and leave. Like I'll get more.
Like the rest of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like just rob me and leave. And they were like, "We don't do that in the county. We do actual police work. How dare you, sir? Shut up. Shut the hell up. Like we are real cops of the law, asshole." God, I
Yeah.
hate them. I hate them. And they were the good cops in the show, and I don't like them either.
So
Oh God.
I think county cops, right? You know, especially Harford County, you know, Baltimore County.
Carroll
I think,
County.
yeah, Carroll County. I think,
Mhm.
you know, I don't think they're clean cops or good cops necessarily. I think their operation is different, right? I think
Uh-huh.
it's keep them in the city, right?
Yep.
keep
Yeah.
keep those types in the city. Don't let so that's where that's how they look at it. You know, they're not looking at it like this is an opportunity to rob them. I think this is when we see them and they, you know, they're in our neighborhoods, they look out of place. You know, we're gonna harass them, we're gonna follow them, we're gonna let them know, you know, we don't want your kind around here, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's what it's about. You take that back to the city. So
Mhm.
what city does, that's their business. Don't let it bleed over to our county. And that's how all this blew up because it bled over to Harford County and they don't want it
Yeah.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Now we've gotten to the stuff. Now the big event of the entire episode happened at the end. It involved Sean Suter. Suter showed up early on in the episode where they were talking to him. They made it very clear that he's not a suspect unless he like wants to act like wants to be a suspect. They just wanted to talk to him. He's they're treating him as a witness. He was a witness to what happened because they already had everything on Wayne Jenkins. They really didn't need Sean. They just wanted Sean to like basically like connect some dots and tie some loose ends to him. And then towards the end, we kind of see Sean's last day on the job. You know, he's got multiple phone calls for a proffer session the next day at 11 a.m. And he goes on the case on a I think a murder or a canvas. I think I don't know about what it was.
It was a previous case.
It was a previous case. They're just kind of like kind of
Checking
like
on loose
tying loose ends, checking on it. And it's also with someone that wasn't like because he had a black partner early on in the show, and this guy's
Mhm.
white. So like, it's probably a couple of years afterwards of what happened.
So he wasn't. So when I read the story, it was we'll talk about it in a second. But
Uh-huh.
they said he wasn't with his normal partner that day. So he
Yeah.
was still with that other guy was still his partner. I'm
Uh-huh.
assuming that guy that we see him with towards the end of the show, that wasn't his typical partner.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, man. So like they're basically canvassing the area. Sean is like watching, saying he sees something in the alley, and he says, what the fuck is that?" So then they stop, and then they get out, and really pretty much like they're just chasing. They're just like following the alley. They're kind of chasing around, and I think what happens is they see somebody and they start running after them. I think. Like, did y'all see someone in the scene? I didn't
There
see
was nobody
anybody.
there.
They didn't
Nobody
show.
was there.
They didn't even show people walking up and down the street like
Yeah, it was like a
kids. It
deserted.
was,
It's like a deserted like a deserted neighborhood. Like legitimately, no one was there. Like no one. It was just like them two. It's
So I'd have been
how did you guys
action
like that?
slept that day.
Yeah, Hendo, you about to say something? Like, what are your thoughts, Hendo, on that?
I mean, I think it all depends upon which version of the story that you believe. Do you believe that he killed himself, or you believe that he was killed? Now, if you believe that he did himself in, this kind of was a good depiction of it because before earlier they had him looking at the family pictures, thinking about his kids and all. So what they were setting up was, okay, if I get caught up in the scandal, I'll lose my pension, I'll lose everything. But if I go out here and kill myself, I'll die a hero. My family gets all the benefits, and it carries on. So it just depends on which version you believe.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they were trying to go for, right? Because like you said, they you know, it's still in the books as a homicide, I believe. Independent investigation ruled it a suicide. And look, his wife is adamant that he didn't kill himself. You know, when I read the story, I feel like I don't think he killed himself, right? But
Mhm.
also it leaves a question: well, who did? Because there is, there's no witnesses. It's daylight. Although I think it happened at nighttime in real life. I can't remember.
It wasn't nighttime. It was in like a dark. I read the story.
It was getting dark.
It was a dark alley. And no, apparently, see, here's the thing. Like this, that's my problem with the scene is
it was broad daylight.
This is not how it happened. It was he was on a case like down the street, and he saw some commotion in an alley. Went to go investigate it in the dark. He walks through it, walks a couple times, then gets shot. Then you hear gunshots.
But that's the problem I have.
They weren't chasing anybody. That's my problem with the scene is this isn't what happened.
Right.
This is not what happened.
So, you got to keep in mind, the person that wrote this, Justin Fenton, like he's not perfect either. And, there are local reporters that have some criticisms about, some of the stuff he writes as well. But he's walking a thin line. He's trying to balance. He's trying to tell a story about corrupt police, but he's also trying to get police to cooperate with him and give him access and tell him some of this stuff. So how he portrays everything, he's going to be very careful about it. He doesn't want to suggest that, they set one of their own up to be killed, right? Because then, they're not going to talk to this guy anymore. So
needs to keep the connection.
But he also doesn't, he doesn't want to go all in on, well, maybe this guy killed himself because he has friends on the force, and also his wife is watching as well. Exactly, yeah. So that scene is set up intentionally that way to make you think, well, what happened? Because that's what we're thinking in real life. So,
yeah, and I was ready to say that too, is because when you're dealing with these depictions of real life events, you got to take into account the family members and the people related to the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, you're not necessarily portraying them, but at the same time, you're dramatizing an event that was really traumatic for their life. So you don't want to do anything to cause further trauma. And like Jose said, you don't want to do anything to get you in bad relations with the police, especially not when, it's not really an independent film where everything that, you do falls on you. You now got HBO and other producers and other people backing you. So everything that you do then falls back on them. So it's a lot of people that you got to run these things through. So he may not have originally written it that way, but through rewrites and having to talk to producers and other things like that, you probably had to go back and change some stuff.
No, here's the thing. Fenton didn't write the show. He wrote the book. So
what's the book? The book is.
I'm saying, well, with the show, how they portray.
Yeah, the shows of the writers, they had to I think probably change a couple things to make sure no one gets in trouble. Yeah, you're right, DeShawn, you're right about that. But here's the thing too, if you're depicting real life events and some people still think it's a suicide and some people think it's a homicide, just have the event happen. And I don't that's the thing, that's what really happened. If someone's that's not what really happened, no, but that is what really happened. He got shot in a dark alley. That's what happened. That's how
because I think personally, if they do the scene as it actually happened, it looks very suspect towards against the police.
Yeah,
I you know what I'm saying? I think it looks very sketchy on their part. So they reworked it in a way to where they try to make it as ambiguous as possible.
Hendo?
Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it all with the way that forensics are today. If somebody killed themselves, it would be real easy to prove, because you got to think about having a gun. Even if you have it a certain distance away, there are going to be powder burns that let you know that it's a self-inflicted wound. So you can tell if he got shot
and the bullet's right here. Right.
And it's only so many angles that you can go at. They could, if it really was a suicide, they could have dispelled this myth a long time ago.
Caleb.
Yeah. So what also confused me, the guy said he shot 3 shots. Did he shoot twice in the air and then shoot himself? That's awesome.
Right. Where are the shell casings?
Yeah.
If he shot if he was suicide, the shell casing should be right there.
Yeah, exactly. Because he said he saw the smoke. So I mean, after this, so was he just full of shit? Did he just completely lie about all that stuff? So it's weird how they set all that up. And
I always wanted to know.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I guess the only way it could be a legit suicide is maybe he had someone else kill him and then just run away. Like, I guess that would be the only way to that he'd won. He had someone else kill him.
But my question, Caleb, is who do you know? I mean, I'm sure there might be people, but who do you know that would be brazen enough to kill a cop, even if he asked for it? Now you're a
Right.
cop. Now you're a cop killer, and that brings added pressure. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like your cop homie is like, I need you to kill me. Like, no. Like, here's the thing too. He's like, he has to ask someone he knows to do it, because like he can't have no random ass stranger to kill him. It's like a weird thing to ask like a random stranger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the only way that it could be possibly a suicide. But but more it looks like someone else killed him.
I always wonder, like, why was he with that other partner?
What happened to the other guy?
Because when I first read the story, that's why I was just like, this is a setup. They said it wasn't his normal partner. All right. So why was he with the other person? What happened to his typical partner? I mean, and maybe there is a reason for it. I don't know. But those are questions that I asked that make me a little suspicious about it.
Jose, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm slightly remembering certain things. But wasn't it a case of he knew more about the police department rather than just this case? Like, he was supposed to be talking about something going on internally in the police division, in that division over there, not just that case.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not sure. You might be right about that. But I know he was supposed to testify the very next day about the gun trace task force, in his time with them. It could have been more to that. I mean, look, they're all in an investigation. I mean,
like, here's the thing too. Wait, you just think you said Jose? He was supposed to investigate in real life. He's supposed to testify, right?
Yes.
In the show, it was a proffer session. You do the proffer session before you testify.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like in real life, he already did the proffer session. All he needs to do is testify.
Well, it depended on what he knew.
Yeah.
That's
exactly. But it's then too, like, they didn't really need him. You know what I mean? They didn't really need his testimony for anything, because they're like, we got it. Like, because dude, if you're a federal prosecutor and you can't make a case with all that wiretap goodness and the ratting on each other, and you need some random ass cop's testimony, you're not a very good federal prosecutor.
They said that in the show, but that's another thing I didn't like about the show either, that I think they kind of put in to cover themselves to make it look like, let's get rid of the motive for why, he might want to be, somebody would want to silence him. What do you mean you don't need him? You don't know what all has been going on. He's just a name that got thrown out there that you didn't know about before. Who else might he dime out if we talk to him? If we sit him down and get him to open up, how far up the chain does this go? Of course they needed him. Know what I'm saying?
Because it was supposed to start off as a question of, did he plant the drugs? Or did he know who planted? That's how it was supposed to begin. But the lawyer told him, like, listen, this can go far left. They can ask you about other things. And under oath, you got to tell the truth. So he knew more than the show kind of gave up.
Yeah. I think it was homicide.
I kind of feel that way too.
Yeah. I think it's homicide. Because here's the thing, bro. Like, if it was suicide, it would be clear as day. Like you would know. You would know, like, if
powder burns.
Like powder burns. Like here's the two, and like apparently the bullet was on the side of his head, right? Even if he didn't shoot himself like this, he would have to shoot himself like this, and you would know, because if it was like a suicide, like the shell casing would be somewhere around here. You know what I mean? Either, and like, because like a suicide helps the department out. They're clean as a whistle, so they'll try to prove a suicide as much as possible.
Yeah, of course.
But a homicide, it was too cleaned up to be a homicide. So to a suicide. Sorry, you know what I mean? Because suicides are kind of messy, and you clearly see visible, like, someone wants to kill himself. You'll see it. Like you can see it. You know what I mean? So I feel sorry for his wife and his family. And like when they cut to like the cop at the end, where he said, "Oh, he probably felt guilty taking the money." Some cops are some cops, taking money's heavy on the head. It's like, yeah, but not Baltimore cops. Okay.
Right.
Like, you're a Baltimore cop. Like the guy, the guy who said that is a Baltimore cop detailed to the U.S. department, the U.S. Prosecuting Department. He's not he doesn't work for the U.S. government.
Right.
He works for BPD. So he's like, hey, sometimes that's too much. Bruh, really.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, everybody has a different you can't speak to people's motivations and how they feel about it, and yeah, some people take pride in their jobs, but I'm with you, Ferris. Like in Baltimore, there's no way you have that kind of sense of pride about being a cop in this city when you know how corrupt it is. Because if you did, you would quit or ask to be transferred. You wouldn't work for this corrupt system.
Yep.
You're a willing participant, and now all of a sudden you're feeling guilty about everything. You're not feeling guilty. You got caught, right? Like you might get exposed, and that's why. Look, Sean Suter. Look, it's unfortunate he lost his life. I don't feel sorry for him, right? Like you participated in this and you ruined people's lives. That incident you were a part of, somebody died. You put somebody in prison that didn't do it. He spent what, 10 years in prison? Or something like that, 7 to 10 years, something like that in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Yeah. And now, I mean, he's back in prison now, but you gotta think about it. That's what I was trying to get to when I got cut off. But you gotta think about it. He I don't know. I mean, look, like he said, he was he was on the streets. He was in the game for a little bit before he got that charge. But to the point of I want to kill somebody, or what I'm saying? Like think about what prison does to you. Spending that much time. Like you can go in there, innocent or less of a hardened criminal, and you come out even harder. I had a friend that went to prison, right? He spent some time, and he told me, he said, look, you don't go to prison to be rehabilitated. You go in there and you come out slicker.
You learn to be a better criminal.
Yeah. Yeah. So
exactly.
I mean, they treat you like animals.
Exactly.
Yes.
Bro. You're in a cage. Like
I was the CEO, so I was there. I was in a maximum security prison, so I was in there with lifers, never getting out, don't go outside for daylight. Like, yeah, and they treat them like animals, bro. So you give them 5-10 years of that. How do you think they're gonna come out, even if they didn't go in that way?
Right. You guys remember that other HBO show? I can't remember the name of it, but it was with he was like I want to say he was like Middle Eastern or something, right? His father drove a cab.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The night of.
The night of, right? And at the end of the show, when he shows up to court and he's got all these tats and everything, he didn't go in that way. And his lawyer's telling him, he's like, what you see here is what it takes to survive. Like, don't judge him based on his appearance and think he's a criminal. He's doing what he needs to do to survive inside, right? That's how prison changes you, right? And look how innocent he was when he went in, and how much he changed when he came out, right? Hey, he was completely innocent.
Hey, you want to talk about the TV show Oz? That white dude that was like he went in there for tax evasion or something, or someone, and he tried to kill a Nazi in there after they just like should have mentally abused him, and he snapped. He finally snapped and he killed somebody. He killed somebody, man.
Listen,
he just murdered somebody. So like,
listen, when I tell you, there was a guy up in the jail. I was at Jessup, the annex.
That's what my friend was.
And it was this guy there named Andre Gross. I'll never forget it, because everybody was scared to be his roommate. Everybody said, listen, if you are his roommate, he's going to put peanut butter in the crack of his butt and make you do whatever, and he's going to rape you repeatedly. So we had some young guys. They had to been like 19, 20 years old, and they kept trying to put him in his cell. Like, it changes you, whether you want it to or not. Jail, prison changes a man.
Yeah,
hey, what's up, John?
Hey, man.
I just walked back into some wild conversation.
Yeah, we talking about jail, DeShawn. We're talking about actually the Sean Suter events at the end of the show. I want to get your thoughts on it, because we kind of had all our thoughts. So your thoughts on the way they we talked about it, like towards the end. Yeah, the way it was portrayed. Wait, Sean already said that though. What did Sean miss? What did he miss?
Oh, I was saying how I kind of understood because of the because of like the whole production and having be mindful of not only the families but also like the police that you work with, because not only are you portraying them but having some work with the show, but you also, when you have a big production like that, you're relying on police as almost like the main source of security and keeping things in order. So I can definitely see why they wouldn't want to rub them the wrong way.
Mhm.
But as far as the portrayal goes, I kind of like in the moment it happened, like right after he like shot himself, and they were looking like who did it, like where'd the guy go, and all that other stuff. I just like, and when they, as soon as they panned over to his body and you saw like the bullet wound in the head, I started piecing together and thinking he did that to himself, or like they more so portrayed it like that it was like a direct, jump to the head type thing, like the way that the wound was placed, but overall, I I I liked that character a lot, so I didn't want to necessarily see him die. But at the same time, like understanding the history behind it and understanding that, like the real situation that went down, um, I thought they kind of did the best they could with all things considered. And like I said, you got a lot of limitations with how you can
Mhm.
portray certain events. So all that considered, I think they did the best they could with what they had to work with.
Well, also too, I want to talk about like when like towards the end when they pan to those two cops and they talk about like they talk about like how he had the radio in his left hand fighting a cop fighting someone with a gun with his right hand, and they're just like, and like those two cops are just kind of confused. They're like, what? Like they're like, what like what?
Hmm.
Like, and he doesn't drop his radio. I'm confused because that's them trying to say like, did he shoot
He-
himself?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
they had to do that because if he still had his radio in his left hand,
Mhm.
how are you going to hold the gun and aim? Like
Yeah.
you're not going to just shoot somebody. Like it's not gangster. You're not just going to shoot somebody like that. So they were trying to further that portrayal that he killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just, yeah, pretty much. I actually have a funny story about the TV show The Night of. So like, my sister in law, my brother and her sister and my mom, we're all like, and my brother and my brother, we're all in the living room watching, right? And they're like, "Hey Ferris, pick a show to watch for us to watch." I was like, "I got you." And then I saw, and I saw Riz Ahmed, and I was like, "Let's watch The Night of." And we watched the first episode. They're like, "You're never picking a TV show for
Great
us
family
ever again."
choice.
It's a great.
Terrible.
It's a great. I put it on. I was like, it's a great show. Riz Ahmed's in it, and Michael K. Williams and John Turturro, and it was so dark. It was so sad. My mom looked at me like, I'm never watching TV with you ever again, like ever, like ever. Because there's a scene where like the girl dies and you see the body, and my sister-in-law and her sister are like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Like what?" I'm like, "It's a great show." It's like, dude, like put on like fucking
They're not into
like
that.
what is, yeah, they're like, I guess not. I guess I mean yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Now guys, I want to talk about like okay like towards the end, like they're ratting off people getting their sentences, and Maurice got 7 for cooperation, Hendrix got 7, Graham got 10, and like all that. But then like they go to Jenkins, he he accepts the 25, uh and they make this things like, why did he accept the 25? They're like, it's because he doesn't want his wife to know that he was banging women on the side because of Donald. Because Donald knows what he was doing on the personal aspect of it as well. They hung out, they brought women, they did some shots. So like his wife in that moment didn't know that he was stepping out on her. He was still the family man. He just was a bad cop. And that's why he kind of accepted the 25, but he still made sure to say, I did not do anything on the Burley case. Final thoughts on that, guys. Final thoughts. Let's go to you, DeShawn.
With this whole thing with his wife not wanting to find out, and maybe this isn't because I'm not married or don't have kids or nothing, but if my only two options are admitting to cheating or going to jail, I would get the word cheated tattooed across my forehead in 4 different colors. But anyway, that's just me. But that whole scene, not only Wayne Jenkins, but showing like all the sentences and everybody got, this show kind of made me hate Catherine Pugh a little bit more, just because of how like she was portrayed in those meetings and saying, "Oh, I want to protect my babies. I'm not gonna
Right.
I'm not going to try to save the lives of all these other people in the city if it's going to cause funding for my babies, even though it means that they're going to become victims of the same system that I refuse to change as soon as they grow up.
Yep.
But anyway, like I kind of wanted her to get more time, but other than that, Herschel, I wanted him to get more of a longer sentence just because he was so deliberately like kind of racist about his, police brutality, whereas like guys like Jenkins and Ram and others were sort of doing it for either money or for glory. You could just tell Herschel's just a downright hateful bastard, and I just wanted him to get more time. But 18 years is still cool for me. Let me see, Ram, like I gotta say it again, the portrayal of that character was excellently done. Gotta give actor his flowers. Other than that, yeah, I just really enjoyed how they tied it all up. You know what I'm saying? That kind of montage of showing everybody's fates and what happened to them. It was really subtle, but at the same time, well done. It wasn't super in your face, and it was a good tie-up.
Hey man, it's crazy, DeShawn. You keep saying the portrayals of these characters. These characters. These people aren't like they're real. But like they should like they're real. No, DeShawn. I'm with you. I'm with you. Exactly. They're real people, but they're not real. Like these people can't be fucking real. Like these people are like that's what's crazy, DeShawn. Like I'm with you. Like they're characters, dude. Like
fiction, but it actually
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like these people can't be real, but they're real. So like the word character, I'm like, yo, he keeps calling them characters. Like that's right, they are characters. But this was a real person. Like that was a real person, man. Like these are like that's what's mind blowing to me, bro. Like there are parts of America where you're like, this isn't a real place. Baltimore, Miami, you name it. Like anything goes in Miami.
Minister, I refuse to believe that place is real.
Miami ain't real. Miami ain't real, man. Miami is not real. Like it's a cocaine infused fever dream. That's what that is. Straight up, it ain't real. Like that's just crazy to me, bro. Like I just kept sitting there watching the show. Like that's a real person. That's a real person.
Really think this way.
Yeah, like that. Like it's mind boggling. Jose, your thoughts, man?
So regarding that scene with Jenkins and he dimes Sean Suter, I looked at it a little differently, right? I looked at it as because the very opening scene, his lawyer is trying to coach him up, like, listen, man, here's what you need to do, and he just immediately hushes him, like, I got this, I know what I'm doing, and the prosecutors walk in there and they're talking to him. He's just like, let's get out the way, I'm innocent, right? And everybody is kind of like, huh? Right? Like it's showing how delusional and just out of the loop he really is, because he's thinking my guys got me. They can't, because and I halfway understand it because they've gotten away with it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
This is just routine, no worries, and when he says like he didn't do anything, or hey, maybe there's something there, or whatever, or I didn't do any of the stuff you're talking about. When they asked him, they kind of pressed him about it. I think that was just the incident that just popped up in his mind. I don't think it was, I'm not taking a fall for that particular one because I know I didn't do that one. I think it was just, I did so many things, which one do I want to cop to, or say like, okay, I know something happened there. And he was like, well, that one with Suter, and we found the drugs, right? I think he just kind of threw it out there because that's the first thing that popped in his mind. That's what I got from it. But overall, yeah, love the show. I'm actually gonna go back and watch all of it now because I hate the week-to-week stuff. I'm actually gonna go back and binge watch it, and watch it all the way through. 6 episodes. You did a great job.
Week-to-week stuff, but like you did it for like most of your life. How do you like hate the week-to-week stuff?
That's why I hate it. That's exactly why I hate it. And I hate commercials too. Like we had to grow up watching things week to week. Every 8 minutes there's a commercial.
Couldn't pause it, couldn't rewind it.
Yeah,
A 30 yeah, a
Can't
30
hit
minute
skip.
a 30-minute TV show is actually 15 minutes.
Hey, first,
22
Yeah.
minutes actually. It's
We
22
didn't-
minutes, right?
Yeah,
we
20
didn't
minutes,
have iPods and iPhones and all that. This is what we had to do. We had to take a
Hey,
tape
man,
recorder and
hey,
go
hey,
up and
hey,
wait
hey,
till it came on and
sir,
record it.
excuse me, sir. See, here's the thing. I didn't live in the modern world, mother lover. I lived in a third world country.
Okay, bro.
I was still doing VCS tapes.
I
Yeah, hey,
apologize.
you watch
I'm
yourself.
just
I
teaching
okay?
my dad about skippable ads. Like he didn't realize you could skip commercials now.
Yeah,
Like that's how old school my pops is.
this is what we
Like
grew up with.
That's how
Yeah,
it's funny. I had to explain to my youngest son. We were watching live TV. This is right before we got rid of cable, and we put something on TV, and he's like, "Dad, skip it." I was like, "We can't skip this," and he's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "This is a commercial," and he's like, "What is that?"
I remember that. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like, "What do you mean? Just hit skip. Like, there's no
Right.
skip button on this. We just gotta watch it." He was
All right.
he could not believe it.
He was like, "What? What is this?" Hendo, your final thoughts, my man.
All right, so I think this whole scene goes back to his own reality, because if you look back into the last strip club scene with him, Gondo, and Wham, he was like, "Listen, I'm too hot right now. Y'all got to start putting your names on stuff. But even though we're being investigated, and I know that we're being investigated, we got this last $200,000 heist that we're going to do." So that just shows you his thought as to, I'm untouchable. Now, when he gets into the courtroom once again, like I said, I think he
Reality
keeps
check.
it is a reality check, but I think the Burley case in essence is kind of him reflecting on everything and telling everybody, listen, yes, I may brutalize people. Yes, I may steal their money. Yes, I may sell drugs, but I'm not a murderer. I didn't plant those drugs on him and cause and do that just to cover up on the murder. So I think that was his thought process with that. And being a family man and his wife, he didn't want that stuff to come out, because listen, if you know anything about jail, you have to have somebody to give you your commissary. And if she finds out that he's an adulterer, he may not have many options to put that money on the books. And to DeShawn's point, when you said about Catherine Pugh and her babies, at first I was like, you know what? You're right. How you going to sit there and talk about your babies, but kind of lessen the funds toward the things that we need to proceed? But you also have to listen to what one of her council people said. And they were like, listen, we've given you all the funding. We've given you all this extra money, and crime is up. So why should we continue to pay you all this money and you're not doing your job? It's 340 murders that year, and nothing's being done about it. So there has to be a steady compromise as to where this money gets allocated from.
The irony of her kept on mentioning her babies, right? My babies. Isn't that what she went to prison for laundering money through her children's book?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she was guilty. She was guilty of conspiracy, tax evasion, and fraud.
But listen, you have
It was over a
have-
children's book that she was
you
coming
have,
out with.
You have to watch American Gangster. You have to watch that show to see how
Trap
it actually Trap Queens, how it
Trap-
actually went down, because she made the books. And the crazy part is, if she actually would have delivered the books to the people, it wouldn't have really been a problem. She just printed 20,000, 30,000 books, but she sold 150,000, and she would take them to a school, put them in a warehouse, sell them to somebody else, take them out the warehouse, bring them to that warehouse, and she kept doing it over and over again.
Instead of just printing them.
Right. So then at the end, she had this sad press conference, and she came out. The press conference was like, "Yeah, I want to apologize, y'all, but I just want to let y'all know." It started bringing out baby clothes, talking about, "Yeah, this was the next step in the line of the books and everything, but y'all didn't let me get that far." Yeah. You got to listen. You got to see Trap. You got to see that Trap Queens.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. But her pick for the commissioner,
Daryl
D'Souza.
D'Souza.
Yeah,
You got to paint too.
Talk about he.
that was hilarious. You talking all this stuff about what you not finna tolerate. The little title card said, like, what, 4 months later?
Yep.
He was convicted of federal tax evasion.
Tax evasion.
You know, here's the thing too. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I don't really see federal tax evasion as that bad of a crime, because, like, let's be real. Where do our taxes really go?
Okay.
Where do they really go?
Okay, but as a cop, as a police commissioner,
that's the thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That you got to pay. But now someone has to pay for their thoughts. Caleb, your thoughts?
Yeah, just funny to see how Jenkins' mind works, because like in the strip club scene, he's like, oh, they think we're dirty. I'm a dirty cop, and then they just laugh. And I was like, aren't you? You don't know? Like he's so oblivious to the fact that he's a dirty cop.
He's like not that dirty cop.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
You know,
not dirty like that.
not
I'm a dirty
him.
cop, just not that dirty.
It's got a little bit.
And then like, okay, then he's like, and then he takes, pleads that he is a dirty cop, okay, but you were so adamant that you weren't. Now you are, but as long as you can, not Brandon does it, with the strippers and hookers and everything, as long as that's not told. Now you are okay with saying this. Like, it's funny to see how his mind works. But then seeing all the new commissioner gets they get rid of the old commissioner, they get a new commissioner. They have to get rid of him because he's doing shit illegal, Mary's doing stuff illegal. Like, goddamn, like how many corrupt politicians are in the city like that? Like, I know.
Yeah,
you think at least if they're gonna be corrupt, at least they can have an effect on some shit. Like,
I feel like that's a prerequisite.
do something right.
Yeah.
A politician
a politician without a charge in Baltimore makes no sense.
About that commissioner that they fired, that was another thing that I didn't like about the show. Like they made him just seem too innocent in the whole thing.
Kevin Davis.
Yeah, and my thing is,
I didn't like
my thing is the police department all the way at the top knew exactly what was going on. They knew exactly what was going on. They let this task force run wild because they were giving them the numbers that they needed. They knew exactly, like, there's no way you can get all those reports in, right? Those complaints. There's no way when the prosecutors are telling you, hey, we can't get jurors up here because of all the complaints they have about the police force. You can't. There's no way you're getting all this information and saying everything's fine. They know it, and they're saying let it ride. We don't care. And he was a part of that. He absolutely understood what was going on. So that whole thing of him, going down to the police station when they're being arrested and saying, "Oh, I looked in their eyes," and he just he didn't blink or he didn't look away. That's just for show. Just he said. I've heard the real commissioner say that, and that's just for show. That's just for him to kind of come off as honorable. He's not an honorable person. He knew exactly what was going on. He let it happen. In fact, they encouraged it.
Yep,
and that's the thing, Jose. I agree wholeheartedly because
the newsletter
about it in that sense that he's lucky he didn't get arrested along with Jenkins and the
Bingo.
rest of them.
Bingo.
Like, all you did was lose your job. You kind of got off easy, all things considered. And it's like if you're the one in charge of that whole thing, like you said, you just as complicit.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna do him like the NCAA does colleges. We're charging you with lack of institutional control.
What about the deputy commissioner?
He resigned.
But he coached Ram through that shooting.
Exactly.
Like they get away with so much stuff and they don't lose their jobs.
Absolutely, man. You know what? You know who didn't lose their jobs? I did because I hosted this show very well. Guys, we have like these transitions are amazing. But guys, we have reached the end of it. It was a great 6 weeks that we've done this. Well, more 5 weeks because we kind of did 1 and 2 together. But yeah, guys, I'd like to say I really appreciate you guys for being here. It was an honor talking the show, breaking it down with you. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, I don't know. Like this ain't my region, right? So having you guys kind of like teach me and show me the ropes, I really appreciate it. So now let's go around the horn. Where can people find you? DeShawn, where can people find you, my man?
Twitter and Instagram at Jesus Nephew. Really appreciate being able to talk about this stuff with y'all these last few weeks, and appreciate you having me on the show, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man. Jose, my main man.
All right, I am one half of Lunch Break Hot Take. I do a show with my brother Brodney every Wednesday night at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Right, Lunch Break Hot Take. Just type it in, you'll find us. Also, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at LBHT Show. And if you're a boxing fan, we have another podcast that I do with my brother and my friend OTR Mike called Ring Kings Podcast. So look up Ring Kings Podcast, hit that subscribe button, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at Ring Kings Pod.
Yeah, the real governor of Maryland.
There you go.
OTR Mike, the real governor. No, everybody.
You know everybody.
Yeah. Hendo, my main
All
man.
right. You can find me at Ravens Online on Gatekeeper on YouTube, or you can find me at our Gatekeepers on Instagram and Twitter. And every Monday, you can find me down 695 trying to find out why they're repaving it again.
Again?
Again.
Again.
I told you a couple episodes ago.
I know.
Every couple years.
Yeah, again. Also, too, I believe if any Ravens fans are watching this, Hendo was on Engraven's show a couple days ago.
Yeah,
a couple days ago, dropping some knowledge. Knowledge. Caleb, my main man.
Not listening to the comments.
Yeah. Never listen to the comments. Never listen to the comments. We don't get comments, so we're good.
You can find me at NFL Caleb 22 on Instagram and Twitter. Find me on this channel doing Good Friends, Better Rivals with Ferris, and also doing more reviews of Open Fire.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm Ferris Madonna. That's my Twitter handle. It's at Ferris Madonna. You know, no one has my name on Twitter, so I got it right away. You can find me here on all sorts of shows. I head our sports division. We have the rally that we did playoff beards. I was on that episode. They're on their audio feed only. People, you know, make sure to rate, review, 5-star, comment on the audio feeds, like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, like it. It really helps. And if you're subscribed and you liked it, drop a comment. Do that. Every Friday, 8 o'clock, we do the Let's Get Ready to Talk Shimono podcast. We talk about the Premier Movie Trivia League. Every Friday, we break it down. We review shows here and there. We have our Obi-Wan reviews. The Holocron's back, where we talk Star Wars, I believe, every Thursday. I believe. So there's that. Make sure to like those videos, comment on those videos if you love Star Wars. Yeah, we do a lot on this channel. We have a lot of variety. If you don't like one thing, I'm pretty sure you'll like another thing. That's all I gotta say. We are the Baskin Robbins of the internet. That's all I gotta say. On that note, like Baskin Robbins, we gotta close early. So have a nice night. Stay safe, and see you next time.
Peace.